your daily leftist detox counselor, your fearless host, Brock Lawley.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Brock Lawley program. My name is Brock Lawley. I'm your fearless host. That's true. I'm one by one weaning the leftists off of statist, emotionally indulgent, irrational, intravenous idiocy. I mean, it's just like an AA meeting. It really is. It's just, you need to walk them slowly. Occasionally they'll throw fits. Occasionally they'll threaten to, do all the self-inflicted harm. I mean, the analogy holds water, doesn't it? Burn stuff down, threaten to harm oneself, threaten to harm others around. Occasionally you have to, put them in those sort of social worker lockdown moves until their fit is over. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Today what I'm going to talk to you about is the new normal. That's actually what I'm going to chill with you on today, the new normal. And essentially, this is how it goes. For the last 8 years, but long before that, if you really want my assessment on it, very, very, very fringe, very, very, very far left ideas have been coddled. They've been spoken back to by the White House. What is not mainstream, what is not normal, and certainly what is not effective, has been normalized, and more than that, has been coddled, has been massaged and given credibility and given credence and given intellectual shelter, has been bathed in money. Leftist ideas and leftists in general, like all things that they love, all things that they're used to hearing, that has just been ear candy for them for 8 straight years. Again, longer, but technically 8 straight years. Barack Obama, spoke to that stuff as if, it was just Mr. Rogers, teaching the little kids a daily lesson in normality. I mean, it's just, my son was Trayvon, or I understand how Black Lives Matter is hunting down police officers like their old Yeller. I mean, I understand that, and it's perfectly acceptable. So every fringe nonsense, every ridiculous idea, every leftist economic drivel, all that stuff has been bathing in warm, bubbly, Bert and Ernie bathwater for the last 8 years. So Donald Trump gets elected, and these people, they simply are not able to mentally downshift. They just aren't. To them, normal, again, I want to reiterate, normal, so that, I'll give you an idea, that the United States of America has a sovereign border. It's not radical. It's very normal, very lawful. And anybody who takes 5 seconds to use the Google search bar can vet all of this stuff. Very lawful, very normal, tons of historical precedent, tons of presidents with their fingerprints all over the exact same thing. In fact, recently video footage has emerged with Obama speaking this same exact kind of thing about immigration. But their radicalism isn't massaged. So what is normal strikes them as over the top. What is normal strikes them as radical. What is normal strikes them as fascistic. And by the way, just as a little side note, a little rabbit trail, the left talking about the fears of the big state, it's so laughable as to never, ever be taken seriously. This is the party that wants the state to wipe your bottom every morning when you number 2. There's less than zero credibility in respect to, them fearing status overreach. It's all just pageantry. That's all that is. A lot of what you're seeing is really that simple. It's just that normal behavior, normal attitudes towards the relationship between the body politic and government. A self-correction. I've been telling people forever, this is really what you're dealing with. If you break your arm or you have a severe accident and your bones get nasty, gnarly, jacked up, when you reset those bones, it is a painful process. particularly when those bones have been allowed to calcify, particularly when those bones have been allowed to set wrong. I mean, the pain involved in that is astronomical. And what you have is virtually a generation. I mean, think about it. Millennials have just been doused in this moronic economic idiocy, social idiocy, unsustainable models nearly everywhere. You know, they have just been doused in that. And the resetting of the bone is difficult. It really is difficult, and it's just going to be frantic fits. And that, sadly, is that's uneasy land right there. I don't really know where that's taken us, because many people, the way they view the United States of America, the way that they see this country, it's so, let's just say it's so untethered and detached from the way the nation actually is in reality, that I don't think there's enough reverence for it to even fight for it when it's perceived and painted in the way that it's being painted in their minds. Now, what you'll see is economic correction. That will bring economic vibrancy. That will definitely flush. I mean, you will definitely see this nation flush with more economic movement. You're going to see job growth. You're going to see reinvestment. If they repatriate that money, this country could easily see $2 trillion washed on the shore in a very quick time. But here's the thing to remind yourself. It doesn't, I have a lot of conservative friends that are really banking on that. And I would agree with them in the sense that that's really where Trump should start. I think he is making a little bit of a mistake throwing all this other stuff, including Obamacare and all that stuff, before the economic vibrancy. Because the economic vibrancy covers a bunch of sins. So, I mean, if he gets that ball rolling, I mean, he's really going to have a lot of latitude. But that being said, even when he does, it doesn't matter. The left is not going to tell the truth about any of that. Look, I cite you the fact that Barack Obama lorded over a Sahara desert of an economy. Less than 2% growth, not counting 93 million Americans in his job numbers. I mean, it was all fake. It was all lies. They just pretended as though anything the man did had any positive impact at all, when exactly the opposite was true. You don't think they'll do the exact same thing in reverse? Of course they will. Of course they will. As the average worker sees more opportunity, as the average livable wage, as a result of job creation, not as a result of coercion by the federal government in wages, but instead the need for labor, the need for product, the need for service, as that continues to happen, what will CNN do? What will MSNBC do? What will CBS do? What will NBC do? They'll take a camera crew. They'll go to the one guy. They'll go to the illegal immigrant that got deported. They'll go to the whatever. I mean, they'll just create fiction to continue to substantiate their narrative. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to completely succeed with that. They've really been given a lot of gut blows with credibility. The American people are already infuriated with the media. I get all that. But that will happen regardless of the economic realities. They will continue to paint Trump as a monster. They'll continue to paint economic ideas that liken more conservative free market. And that's the irony is he's not necessarily doing that in its purest form. But they've been so doused in this Bernie Sanders moronville-ness. They've been so doused in what is the most important thing? Who somebody else is sleeping with. Not whether or not a person can raise a family on a salary. No, it's where are you sticking it. It's who's allowed in the bathrooms. I mean, this is like where these people's heads are. And that's the new morality, too. They get to create this fictional reality, of course, which is not the nation's legacy, which has no time-tested validity by way of how to govern a nation or where to put your priorities. I mean, bear in mind, this is what we're talking about. This is the hill that the left has thus far died on. Just bear this in mind. Europe took in unvetted Syrian refugees, which then, this is all provable. This isn't speculatory. None of this stuff needs to be speculated. And this is throughout Europe. We're just using Germany as an example, which then proceeded to inflict 3 terrorist attacks that spilled blood on their soil. The amount of rapes perpetrated by the refugees themselves, the clash of civilization that has wreaked havoc on that country. Now the German people are furious. All that stuff's playing out in real time. Trump's saying he wants 3 to 4, he wants a month essentially to get the ducks in order so that we find a way to vet these people before we let them. Perfectly reasonable. The left has decided to throw their lot in with Islamic Sharia law radicals, with there's a clear example, there's a clear track record of the fact that that is not the best way to deal with this refugee policy, which, by the way, was brought about by Barack Obama's Syrian policies. So they wet the bed. They're upset about the fact that somebody's changing the sheets. It's a remarkable thing to realize. But bear in mind that in the midst of terror, in the midst of a post 9/11 reality, in the midst of ISIS, in the midst of all that is the terror landscape that is the West, this is what the Democratic Party is doing. Why? Hysterics, an untethering from reality. So a nation that is trying to self-correct, even in its most basic sense, which is security. Can you build an economy without security? No. Can you build an education system without security? No. Can you build infrastructure without security? No. Can you do anything without security? No. Thus the reason it's one of the 3 tiers of a federal government that's actually constitutionally recognized. Infrastructure, rule of law, security, national security. Those are the things we need federal governments for. And what is the Democratic Party doing? Standing in the way. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the coddling that has taken place has produced such a petulant child, has produced a Lord of the Rings left, a Lord of the Flies left, rather, that is just so ravenous, unresponsive to reason. The way they align their compasses is so broken. Look, there's a whole host of theories as to how to deal with these people. The last couple of days, I've given some commentary on it. I had my buddy come on. We've kicked it around. My opinion is the result is the same whether you massage the situation or whether you strong arm the situation. I really do think the result is the same. The result is the same. Go to war with the media. Go to war so that everybody knows. This is my advice. Go to war with the media so that everybody knows it's illegitimate. Because the nation is so wonderfully and splendidly served by a media that's kneecapped, a media that's literally in a grave. The old media needs to die, literally die. It can't be hobbling around. It has to die. It has to be put down. There needs a stake through the heart like a vampire. So my advice is to go to war with media every day. Every day discredit them. Every day go to war with them. I know I have friends that are like, you're poking the dragon. No, that has to happen. Either way, it doesn't matter what they do. If they treat the media with respect or if they treat the media with hostility, the media will be the media. So you need to slay it like a dragon slayer. Number 2, continuously with blunt brute force put down the left. Run them down. Why? Because without a shadow of a doubt, they will destroy the nation. And I know this because when you ask them what is good about the nation, they'll say, we have transgender bathrooms. That is not a recipe for prosperity. That is not a recipe for growth. That is not a recipe for greatness. That is not a recipe for example. That is an 18-year-old girl who's cutting on herself in her parents' bathroom. That's the political equivalent of the left today. When you ask them, is America great because it has a great economic system? No. Is America great because you have economic mobility? No. Does America have an amazing past by way of remedying the sins, particularly slavery? No. This ideology doesn't even love the nation enough to try to move it forward. What they want to do is reinvent it. What they want to do is turn it into something that it is not. Therefore, you must strong arm it. You must strong arm it. It is a rabies-bitten dog that cannot be, enticed over with doggy treats or taught new tricks or all these approaches. And how do I know this? We've tried all this stuff. We've tried all this stuff. And let me tell you something else. The American people on many levels know this. And how do I know that? The House, Republican. The Senate, Republican. The President, Republican. The governorships from the fruited plains, sea to shining sea, Rust Belt, South, Republican. The state senates, Republican. One by one, states are becoming right-to-work states. The nation knows this. Your biggest enemies and your biggest impediments to more freedom, more prosperity, more economic vibrancy is establishment Republicans who care only for their own power and will betray Judas-style Benedict Arnold style, every day, twice on Sunday. That's a fact. Your John McCain's got to go. Your Lindsey Graham's got to go. These guys all have to be rooted out like a bad weed, like one of those spiky weeds that stick you when you touch it. They need to be rooted out and thrown into the garbage bin. There needs to be a complete reset of the Republican Party because the old ways are horrible. The Democrat Party, basically they're imploding as is, but they're basically like carrying around torches, and they'll burn down, Rome if you don't. And I think the recipe for that is when they break the law, arrest them. And I don't care if it looks like fascism to leftists. Who cares? If you're out there destroying somebody's property, you should be arrested and thrown in prison. If you're out there assaulting people, you should be arrested and thrown in prison. If you're out there stopping conservative speakers from speaking by punching them in the face because you think they're a Nazi, you should be arrested. This isn't fascism. This is just rule of law. If you want to engage said person with your words, as we have a long legacy of in America, that's fine. Punching them because you think they're that evil, not fine. Prison. Burning down somebody's property, prison. Destroying a campus, prison. That's how you deal with it, in my opinion. Thank you for listening to the Brock Lawley program. Let me tell you this, the leftists used to be coddled. They used to be spoken back to like they're reasonable or rational. That's all gone. That's all gone. There's a new normal. I think we just all align ourselves to that new normal, regardless of the fits they throw. Thank you for being a people of fortitude, character. You need to be brave. You need to be courageous.
Democrats will regret the power grab.
À Brock Lawley Productions.